Getting a pyramid greeting from a pretty ticked-off queen. Here's your look at the new Hiya Toys Alien vs. Predator Alien Queen Exquisite Mini. Exquisite Mini is a new standard settings series for 1/18th scale, featuring super articulation action figures under Hiya Toys. Before we spend some more time with Her Majesty, I'd like to first thank the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide the sample of the AVP Alien vs. Predator Alien Queen Exquisite Mini that we can have a look at in this video. That was a bit of a mouthful. Now, in this case, I gotta say, it's not just a case that they've re-released this figure. There has been some considerable changes made. Some problems I really had with the original Aliens Queen has been corrected here with the AVP version. And don't worry, we're gonna bring that other Alien Queen here in a moment. I've also got her currently on 3 of the 4 tile display stands she comes included with. She comes with 4. I really only need actually 3 stands. You technically even could use 2 stands to keep her upright. And like the Alien Queen we looked at before, she does still require that clear acrylic post. Yeah, it's still one thing. I think they should fix if they ever future release an Alien Queen. Anyways, we're going to talk more about that in a second. I'm going to measure the figure, but I'm not going to actually count those bottom tiles. I'm just going to measure just the figure alone. The Alien Queen from the top, the very top of her crest, stands 6.5 inches in height, or the figure's about 16 centimeters tall. Careful now not to knock over the queen. I'm just going to slide her back a little bit. And reaching off to the far camera, I'm going to bring in the one that we got before from Aliens. Now, with this one, there still is the issue with the clear acrylic post. Unfortunately, with my Alien Queen, that acrylic post has started to crack down below. I don't know if you can actually see this or not, but the Alien Queen from Aliens is actually quite a lot smaller than the one from AVP. It's a little harder to see. Okay, we'll slide it over this way, and we'll bring over the Alien Queen carefully. That give you a better idea? The color is definitely a lot darker now with the AVP version of Alien Queen than the much lighter blue that we got before with Aliens. Another comparison we can also bring in is what she looks like next to an Aliens Warrior, also from Aliens. Now, one thing also you may also notice, I've now said also a couple times, one thing you may also now notice is the fact that the Aliens Queen, these little spikes that stuck out the back of her torso, what a problem those were. I have now had this figure packed away for a while, and you'll notice there's only actually one of them sticking in there right now. I've had a real tough time trying to get those back in place. A lot of people that were collecting the Alien Queen stated the same thing, that those spikes were the worst thing to try to put into the figure because the pegs were so small and softer rubber plastic that they were just next to impossible to get in there. I got one of them in there, and I just finally just said, forget about it. Alien vs. Predator's Alien Queen actually already has those spikes in there. So already, that's one improvement that the company has made with her. And I'll bring back that other queen when we do a couple more comparisons. First, though, let's go ahead and take the Alien Queen off of her display stand. And we'll put her to the side. I don't think maybe she can stand on her own. The figure comes included with 3, and technically that's not true. She actually comes with 4 tiles. 4 tiles that can actually interlock with one another. I'm going to go ahead and remove the clear acrylic post. On the bottom of this, she also comes with sets, a total of 8 of these eye brackets that can fit in between these slots provided on the stands. So again, you can have all 4 connecting together if you want to. You can have, in what I've done here in this case, 3 of them together, or you can actually just use 2 of them. 2 is more than enough to actually keep the queen. And even like the Aliens Queen, I only ended up really using the 2, and that was more than enough to keep the figure together or keeping her upright. The other thing that the figure also comes included with is the clear stand. Still, this is one issue I had. I'm going to bring in the one that came included with the Aliens Queen. They are identical to one another. Unfortunately, though, at the bottom of mine, you may notice right there, there's a fracture line. This has now started to crack just from the times I've actually been attaching it. Just using one of these just as an example, when you are putting the acrylic a post just on top and you start twisting it, I've noticed, yeah, several times I've done that, not to mention the weight of the queen putting down on it, has now started to crack the bottom of it. Using clear works fine because at least it looks like the queen is standing on her own, but I maybe would have reinforced the bottom of it, either used a different colored plastic or even put a metal bottom to it. So when you are screwing it actually onto the peg, you're not going to be running the risk of what I end up having, a crack forming at the very bottom of it. This one is still fine. And it just literally, I mean, there's a hole on the bottom of it, and you're just going to attach it to any one of the pegs. You can twist it on. Twisting is probably the better way to go as opposed to really forcing it on, because that's going to develop those cracks a lot faster. And then from there, that little U shape underneath is going to fit to the undercarriage of the queen, just attaching like that. As you though can see, because the queen is a little bit more stable this time around, she seems to stand actually well on her own. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily be putting on our display stand like this, but just to put her again further back and bring the one in with the aliens queen. I don't know if I can actually do this with the aliens queen. Let's see if I can get the tail just right. Yeah, she's going to have a little bit more stability issues. One thing that's rather interesting also about the aliens queen is that she doesn't have pegals on the undersides of her feet. She does also have high heels, the heels on the back of her ankles. The new alien queen does not have that. One thing though that she does have is pegs. So if you did want to actually just use a display stand, you could just attach the alien queen to those posts. One again fix that I think was definitely necessary, so you don't have to necessarily rely on that clear post. You simply just attach her feet holes to either one of those pegs. And again, one of the reasons why I would have probably used the 3, you can get a nice wide stance on the alien queen, is just simply attach her that way. The thing about this, though, is if you look at the sculpting of her feet, she is missing now that back high heel. Perhaps they thought it was just too ridiculous to have a alien queen actually sporting high heels, that they've done away with the design altogether. It means that she isn't as stable, at least with a footprint space, but she's actually a lot more stable just by the size of her frame and the fact that, again, you can attach her onto the display stand without even relying on that clear post. One fix already that's a lot better. Going ahead and really stating that the most obvious thing that I really liked about the alien queen was the fact that these spikes were already attached. I was sort of dreading when I got this box, opening up thinking I was going to have to install each one of these, as I did spend probably an hour or so trying to do it on the first time we had a look at the alien queen, but these were already attached. It does beg the question why these weren't attached initially on the alien queen. I'm just going to put this one down here for a second. Apologies that I might probably go back and forth between the two alien queens. But when we had a look at these ones, now these were the spikes that had to go in. Here's the little small holes we had to work with. Look how tiny these things were. And the problem with these is that they were softer plastic. I mean, I tried to use a hairdryer to heat the hole, and by there fitting the spike in. But even when you bend it and try to twist it in place, you may already see it for yourself. That buckles so very easily. And again, it probably took me about an hour and a half the first time I looked at the alien queen. No kidding either. About an hour and a half for me to actually get all of these in place. Unfortunately, though, there was one casualty. Which one was it? Was it this one here? I think it was this one here. This one has already started. No, it's not that one. I had one that actually has already. Now, it's this one right here. You can see right here that it's already started to split the plastic, just from me trying to put these in. I think what I might do long term is just decide to display the aliens queen on display with the AVP, and I'll probably just end up gluing these in place. There's no reason for me to constantly remove them, put them back in, but I'm just, again, really happy the fact that the new alien queen already has those spikes attached. You don't have to worry about them right away, especially when you take the figure out of the packaging. Other things that are different about the queen, obviously, is the color. I'm just going to move her arms down here for a second and bring back in the alien queen. You'll notice as well that the crest is considerably sculpted differently. The aliens queen actually had a longer crest and a lot more blue, of course, in it. The AVP queen, while still keeping to a very similar type of design, has a lot more ridges along the top. And again, the coloring on her is a much darker bluish black. Head sculpt wise, the faces are a little wider, I would say, on the AVP variety of queen versus the more narrow face on the aliens queen. The mouths work the exact same way that when we had a look at this one. The crest section, essentially what it is to mimic the look that she has in the movie, this pulls back. So like essentially it starts this way and it sits on a track that you can then pull back the crest and then you reveal the alien queen face underneath. And again, that opened and closed. The AVP version of Alien Queen works the exact same way, although again you've got a much bigger head to work with. The crest does slide forward the same way and then slides back also the same way, and this Alien Queen does have still the open and closed mouth. One thing I haven't yet brought in, though, she does also come included with the actual tiny little mandible jaw. This fits inside. There's a little hole in the back here, and this just plugs into the back. It's not the easiest thing to do, mind you, but you just plug it into the back, and it sits inside her mouth. I did notice that with this Alien Queen, at least on mine, that the top of the face is really loose. I'm not sure why it's as loose as it is. Maybe they've made it just a little looser so you can actually get in there and attach the jaw. But she has a longer version of the jaw, and then she also has a much smaller version as well. So careful not to drop that onto the floor. Head sculpt, like I said, is a vast improvement. Even though like this really doesn't change too much from the Aliens Queen. Again, bringing her in so you can see the difference. The face is wider, yes. The teeth aren't as yellow as the Aliens version Queen. And again, like the crest is quite a lot differently sculpted, although it does share very much the same sort of details. Arms, to look at the two. The AVP version of Alien Queen seems like it has slightly wider arms, and the hands are also on this Queen, funny enough, are smaller than the Aliens variety. The top of the torso, or main body of the torso, the neck is certainly a lot wider on the new AVP Queen. Doesn't have as much the browns and the lighter blues that the Aliens version of Queen had. And when we look to the body, the actual main torso section, it's a lot wider as well. So there's a lot of wider things that have been added now to this new Queen. Just to spin this around so you can see the difference between the legs. Again, thighs are wider, the mid section of the leg is wider, and also the calves are also thicker too. It makes for a much more stable Queen too. Like one thing I did notice right away when I took this Queen out of the packaging was there was a lot more weight to it, and she felt a lot more durable. All of the joints, in fact, actually felt very durable, in fact, on this Queen, that I could move it around. I didn't feel like anything was really fragile. Not to really state that the Aliens Queen was a fragile figure, but this one feels like there's a lot more durability to it. There's definitely, like I said, some improvements that Hiya's made on the Queen. For the articulation on her, it's pretty much going to stick the same with the Aliens variety. Now her head, basically, so there's a ball joint here, so you can move the neck back and forth. This jaw, I guess we can consider as articulation. That does open and close. Once again, you get a closer look at the face sculpt there. Very nice head. Head rotates back and forth. It's also on its own independent ball joint. Still not sure why this top piece is so loose. It's not that it's actually separate or broken, but it feels like it's sitting on a looser peg. This, of course, does shift forward and back. Again, I love the coloring and the sheen that they've added to this one. The upper torso, like I said, we already had discussed, she has a ball joint there. She has ball joints also on these smaller little limbed arms. Those rotate all the way around. The original Aliens Queen also had that as well. She does have ball joints on the shoulders, so you can take those arms and rotate them all the way around, really, if you wanted to. She does have a single hinge on the elbow that allows the lower rotation of the form, and the hands also rotate on their own ball joints. The back of the legs, well, I guess also, too, we can move the head a little bit out of the way, that each one of the spikes that now stick out the back of her torso are all independently ball jointed. And because the company has installed them and not you, first of all, the ball joints are a lot bigger. Second of all, I can easily move these around with no risk and fear at all that these are going to be falling out of the figure's body. Not the case when we're looking at the Aliens Queen. The back of the legs, of course, are all also in ball joints. You can move them not only forward and back this way, out also this way, so you can actually get quite a splits on the new Alien Queen. The joints, by the way, in all of this figure are really super tight. She has a swivel at the back of the leg that also allows a hinge to hinge back that way. There's also a secondary hinge to bring the leg forward. So if you did want to have the leg sort of off-kilter the way that it's posed, you can do that as well. And the figure also finally has articulation in the feet. You can move those back and forth. Did I already mention the fact that I love that the figure has peg holes on the undersides of her feet, so you don't even need to use that clear peg? And, of course, finally, she does have the wireframe tail. The wireframe tail, by the way, I'm just going to, again, bring back the Alien Queen. I knew I had to have the other Queen so readily available so I could actually be able to bring her in. The tails seem like they're about the same. What it's missing, though, on this one is it doesn't have these side spikes that stick out. As you can see, it's a little more closer and a thicker tail overall. But what I do really like, again, about this Queen is that, yes, Hiya Toys have made considerable changes for the better. Even though just to have the figure displayed on her own, she actually can stand on her own, somewhat on her own, without actually relying on using that post. Or, again, what you can also do, too, is bring in your display stand. And because the joints are pretty tight also on this figure, simply just attach the figure's feet onto the display stand post. Do the exact same thing on the other side. It's a little harder not to see it. And yeah, you can get the Alien Queen standing on her display stand without the use of that clear post. Although it's probably, I wanted to make sure, of course, I got that all the way on there. Let's try that again. Just attach her onto the display stand post and do the exact same thing on the other side. And yeah, you should be able to, as I certainly had it working before, you should be able to stand her without the use of actually that clear post. And of course, if you do have any difficult time doing that, by all means, you can easily bring back the post. I really didn't want to use the post praising the fact that the figure really didn't rely on it. I'll fix, don't worry, in final looks. But yeah, you got yourself a much nicer looking Alien Queen. I would say, and certainly in a case like this, I would certainly say in this case, while I'm trying to fix this now post, if you have the option, and you're only really looking to get yourself one Alien Queen, I would honestly go with the route of the AVP Queen, who now is giving me a tough time. Funny enough, eh? Isn't that always the case? There we go. Definitely, though, if I had the choice and I only had the budget available to pick up one Alien Queen, I would probably go the route of getting this one right here. It doesn't deviate too real far away from the original Aliens Queen we got before. It's a much bigger, it's a much bulkier queen. I do like the darker colors that this one used. It has more of the darker plastic with not as much the blue that they added to this figure that was already present on the Aliens Queen. But really, the selling point of this one above the Aliens version of Alien Queen is that the joints and everything on the figure feel thicker and more durable. And the biggest one is that you didn't have to add those spikes on the back of her torso. One thing that was a big problem when first getting that Aliens Queen we got before. Okay, let's try that again. As I was trying to do at the end of that video, not so successfully, is to show you guys that the Queen does stand fine on her own on the display stands. You don't necessarily need to use that clear acrylic post. The clear acrylic post I can still see as a long-term fix, because while the Queen does stand fine on her own because she does have the stabilizing tail on the back of her body, the post does add some necessary aid to keep her upright, because those legs, those rear legs of hers, I'm sure will develop still looseness down the road, even though it is possible on paper to have her standing without the post. I think long-term of displaying her on a shelf, I would still rely on the post. I just wish, though, that Hiya Toys, of all the things they did improve upon with this Queen, could still fix the one other problem that this Queen had with the original release, and that's the clear acrylic post. It cracks, I think, too frequently and too easily when just the times I've actually been attaching onto those pegs, that little bottom section of the clear peg, or the bottom section of that clear post, has already started to crack. It hasn't yet happened on the AVP Queen, but I know it's already happened on the Aliens Queen, and it's just a matter of time that's going to probably happen on this Queen also. Now, certainly when it comes to improvements, hopefully videos like this have been able to show you guys how better this Queen is versus the original one. That maybe if you missed your chance and didn't get the chance to get the Aliens Queen, I don't think you have to start shopping online and certainly paying the prices that Queen has skyrocketed to. Instead, focus your attention on getting the AVP Queen. There's actually an AVP Battle Damage Queen as well that we will be looking at in an upcoming video. And once again, a big thank you to the folks over at Hiya Toys that did provide this sample of the new AVP Alien vs. Predator Alien Queen. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you still had the choice to pick up this one or the Aliens Queen, which one would you pick up for your collection? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are seeing and certainly want to stick around for more, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Because while we have wrapped up the review right now for the AVP Alien Queen, we will also be looking at the Battle Damage Alien Queen, and we will be also looking at some Hiya Toys reviews in upcoming videos. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.